There is any software which we can use for our model. We can either use Revit, we can use SketchUp, we can use CAD architecture in which we can make 3Ds. I didn't know about that before, but we can do anything in CAD, and the software has no limitations for it. Hello archers, welcome to ArcNet. Here we like to delve deep into architectural curiosities and understand it better. And today I would like to talk about the design process. Now, design process is very integral part for any creative job. This video is targeted towards architecture and how a design process is formulated for presenting or preparing a design. So I'll be explaining a design process which I go through. I hope this design process help you guys in your own personal designs. So let's jump into this process. Firstly, I would like to start with what is a design. Now, design is not a linear process. In fact, it is very complex and intertangling into many things. Now, if you go into different approaches, one approach is this double diamond one. So I really like this process and I usually like to follow it. Now, this is a very broad creative process. I would like to simplify it in a better manner, so in which would be very helpful for any creative individual to go through. So when we start with any design, there is a pre-design phase where we get a brief and we have to understand that brief and interpret our learnings. Now, the first thing when we get a brief is to get ourselves a passage of key learnings. Now, these are the most important thing. From the key learnings, we get to learn a lot. We understand what are the requirements. It can be a passage, or it can be just a list of functions which helps us to move forward. Now, after getting that, we have to identify buzzwords. Now, buzzwords can be simple headlines in a newspaper. Now, these are basically ideating those entire elements which are required by the clients. Now, it can be very straightforward, like minimalistic architecture. Now, when we use the word minimalistic, we get the broad idea what are the requirements. So it can be the style, it can be the typology, it can be the key requirement, for example landscape, or particular name of a plant, for example hibiscus, if a client is very much interested into that species of plant. So these can be the words. Now, the trigger points. This is a very important thing for any designer to understand the points or something which really affects a design, so that we can develop an output which is holistic in itself. After understanding the triggering points, the best move forward is to understand whether the information provided in a brief, if that information is having a bunch of facts or a bunch of figures, we have to analyze whether it is true or not. So it is always better to fact check whatever data we are having, such that we are not falling into that wrong information, or providing wrong designs, or providing wrong areas, or anything like that. So eliminating problems as early as possible and rooting it out is the best option way forward. So these are the four basic learnings from the brief. Then we have to do feasibility studies and assessment, where we really check whether or not it is feasible after understanding the brief. Then it is better to move with the programming. In programming, we start with just listing bunch of functions which we will provide. It is usually great if the functions are already listed in a brief. Like if we are making a residential project and the requirements are already listed, it will be great and we can move forward with that. But if it is an idea or client is not sure about the functions, he has just stated a broad brief that these are the requirements, then we have to make a list of functions, so that further on we can have a broad idea in our mind that this particular task might require a huge area as compared to the other. So spatial function chart is a good idea, and we can schedule our areas accordingly. After that, we can work with the spaces. This is the usual zoning. which is prepared, in which different spaces are linked using just simple wiring, and those identify the linkages and also the different kind of spaces which we are trying to provide in that area. Then we can also make a kind of matrix which is area chart. Now using this kind of diagram, we can identify the proximity of different spaces with each other. For example, if we are designing a residence, it is always advised that the kitchen should be in close proximity to the dining area. So of course we'll plan it accordingly. So we can make such diagrams. So this is the basic programming, and after that we go to the zoning restrictions, where we understand as per the zoning where a particular function should come. After that we proceed with the site analysis. In the site analysis, we start with site context. What all areas are in close proximity to our site? We have to identify the north. We have to identify what all places are in close proximity to our site, and we have to also take out the technical information from our site. So these are very important aspects which we have to understand, and this can be done by getting a site context. After that, we have to study the climatic condition of the site. It can be different analysis like the solar analysis, wind analysis, how much rainfall is happening in that area, and accordingly we can design. After that, we have to really look into the terrain. If there is any kind of undulating terrain, it is always best to retain what all geographical conditions are there on the site, because once we try to ram the earth loses its natural strength which occurred due to many years of solidification. So it is always advised to understand the topography and the slopes which acts as natural drainage. We have to also look into transport and accessibility. Now transport can be done by using buses, metros, different routes. So if there is any public transport available near site, we have to see it's the distance and closest approach. After understanding the transportation, we have to look into utilities and services. For example, how we'll provide electricity to our site, and how water will reach, or how will the energy be harnessed. So different methods or thoughts regarding that can also take place during this time. After that, we can look into socio-cultural aspects of developing a community, because that is the most important part, where we understand the human nature and try to make something out of it. So we have to understand that aspect, and look into mixture of culture and try to integrate it into our building or construction or design, which will help us to add this element of human interactions in our design. So after this, we go to the precedent studies, and these are really very vital if you want to design and get inspired and also be technically correct, because many things are already been designed, and it is always better to check our designs and get the satisfaction whether our designs are not already existing, and it is plagiarism free. Make our designs better by understanding what has already been happened and learn from the past. So the best method is to do case studies, and we can do different case studies. It will make sense if we'll do a case study which is similar to the site area which we are having, and also the typology of the design should be same. If we are designing a house, the case study should be of a house. If our area is 9,000 square feet, the area of the case study should be 9,000 square feet, for better propagation and understanding our designs. Of course it can vary, but it is more logical if we do some studies which are similar to our aspects. Now after that, we can do a case study matrix in which we are analyzing positive and negative points of the case studies. Also we can segregate it by different aspects or parameters, like it can be parameter of community, transportation, it can be parameter of functions, areas, landscape, etc. And then we can analyze different sites and different case studies and different kind of parameters, so we can analyze them by this using this chart, and then we can understand the positive points listed in this matrix, it is always better to make an Excel document and then color it, the positive points, such that we can understand what we can involve in our design. After the case studies, it is always advised to make inspiration boards or mood boards. Now, these mood boards will give us a broad idea of different aspects which we want to involve in our design. So we can move forward with these mood boards as our template. So after doing the precedent studies, we move forward with the concept design. Now this is the most important part, in which we are defining the problem of our design and also telling our part of the story, or what uniqueness we are adding in that design. So these are different conceptual design aspects which we can involve. This can be random sketches showing a progress or transformation or development, or how a design has been evolved as per the time. It can be simple party diagrams, or it can be through our sketches. Now we can also showcase different problems, different points, etc. Just showcase our concept, explain something unique which we are trying to add. Then it is always better to make it into a tree map, where after analysis, after case studies, after understanding the different functions which we are involving, we can make a tree map with the final areas, functions which we are trying to put in our design. So this tree map will give us ratios. So I think this is a good diagram which we can use as a graphical representation to showcase the areas of our design in our presentation as well. Now after the concept design, we do some schematic processes, or we do some schematic design sketches. Now these sketches vary from site to site components to landscape, hardscape, to response to context, to energy efficiency, materiality, structure, sustainability, management of waste or water. So I would like to share these sketches. These sketches were made by me for my personal studio project, and these are simple schematic sketches, but these sketches are showcasing the water supply and sewerage networks, or the telecommunication and power networks, road connectivity, or transportation facilities, etc. So we can get a broad idea. It can and these sketches really vary from project to project. In an architecture project, we really need schematic sketches for services. For example, if it is a water supply or a waste management sketch, then we have to make that particular sketch. But for an urban level project, this kind of sketches might be more helpful. After making the schematic plans, we have to proceed with the design detailing. Now the design detailing really looks into the final outcome, or it is just a stage before our presentation, where we have to produce material to explain our design, and it is also the technical document which is required for by any contractor or builder to make our project into reality. So we can start with 3D modeling. We can make site models, understand the site. It can either be done in a software or physical model. Then we have to start with the site plan, where we present different where we identify the broad location of different functions, and this site plan is the basic thing which is required by anyone to understand what is our design. And after that, we have to make technical plans of each and every we have to make technical floor plans, where everything is explained, areas as well as functions, and this is the template for design. After that, we can also talk about materials, different materials which we are trying to use. So this is a complete set of presentation. So this is a complete set of drawings. Now it can also involve water systems, energy systems, infographics, then communications and security, accessibility, waste management. So this is the detailing part, where we have detailed each and every aspect which we were talking about during our concept or conceptualized stage. After doing that, we have to work on our presentation. We have to make boards, presentation boards or sheets, and explain our idea. So it can be a thematic presentation, or just a very simple presentation. It also depends on the quality of work you want to produce. As simple, it is always suggested that the presentation should be simple and also very interesting at the same time, such that people from each and every domain are interested to understand what the design is trying to produce. So that is the strategy behind making presentation. So I hope you guys got a takeaway from our video and understood the process of design, which is very vital. It helps us to plan our designs as well as work in a very smart way. So if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, leave a like, comment suggestion of topics you guys would like us to make a video on in future, and I hope to see you guys soon. Take care.